Oh yeah.
Cool.
Continue.
All right. Nice. All right, Bryant, thank you so much for joining me here today. And it's, been amazing working with you I guess it's been 14 weeks or so that you've been in my Modern Man program, and you've seen some awesome progress. And, we can kind of pretend like we weren't just talking for 10 minutes previously, I suppose. But, you want to give me a little background on kind of, who you are and kind of what you do, I guess generally on a day-by-day basis.
Yeah, for sure. First and foremost, now it's been super incredible getting the chance to be part of the program and connect with you, Jesse, and work with you. And we'll get into it, but I've kind of had I like to describe it as an in and out relationship with health and fitness, kind of throughout my mid to late 20s and into my early 30s now. So yeah, I'm a 32-year-old guy who grew up kind of like most of the people in and around the city of Philadelphia that I was, around playing sports, played basketball my whole life, all through high school, skateboarded, did, and tried anything and everything. But in that same breath was always active, always doing stuff. And that continued into my 20s. And I would play in men's league basketball leagues and stuff like that twice a week. And I always was doing something. And then it kind of shifted towards my mid to late 20s. I was working jobs that were really demanding as far as hours and time that I was committed to them. And things took a back seat, and for better or worse, my physical health was one of them. I never was really, and I don't even know how to quantify this really, but I was never really heavy. I was always that skinny fat where I'm athletic enough still that I can, put on the sneakers and hoop, but at the same time, 3 or 4 games in, I feel like I ran a marathon. So it was always kind of that. And I could never get into the whole weightlifting thing. I don't know why it never appealed to me. I think it was because I didn't know what my end result for that would be. And I'm a very end result type of person. I need something to strive towards. So with weightlifting, I just never consciously had that in my head. So I never really picked that up, but it was interesting because at the time I was working at a gym. I was working at one of the best, privately owned gyms in the country at the time, in Bucks County, Pennsylvania. And I had access to anything and everything you can imagine as far as gym equipment goes, the Disneyland of health clubs. So I was there, and, like I said, I had access to stuff and I wasn't really using it. And then I had left working there, and I started working in an event at an event production company where our schedules are gnarly. And Jesse kind of knows this just because his girlfriend Morgan used to work at the same place, which is how I found out about what he does. And the hours are long, the schedule's crazy. And this past year, I did, 13 out of 14 weekends in a row, aside from Easter. All over the country, flying out on a Thursday, coming home on a Monday. And I ate absolute crap. I worked out or exercised, whatever you want to call it, even less than I had been. And I got home in July, and I looked at my fiance and I was like, yo, I'm 32 years old and I feel like I'm 72 years old. I was like, this just isn't right. And I immediately, I think I texted Morgan the next day, and I was like, yo, long time no talk, haven't seen you in forever, but I remember you said your boyfriend has this incredible program that he does where he helps guys achieve different fitness related things. And I was like, does he take clients? Does he have any spots open? And she connected me with you, and the rest is kind of history. Now I'm in a groove of working out, and I love it, and I have goals, and I think I'm more in love with the journey of it rather than a year from now I could have a great 6-pack and shoulders that look the way I want them to. I'm more in love with the small things, the wins, as you call them in the program, that occur daily, and they might not be monumental, but they're awesome still. So that's kind of, it's where I'm at now with everything. And yeah.
Nice, man. Yeah, that's great. And Yeah, when Morgan reached out to me and reached out when she's in the house with me, when she told me that you might be reaching out, I was like, wow, that's cool, because she had mentioned you before. And I had no idea at the time that you were so into basketball like I was. Like, I'm similar in that, like, I'm watching every game, like any game I can watch on
Oh, yeah.
TV that's televised, I'm trying to watch it. And I grew up playing sports too. When you were kind of describing how you grew up, like, I felt similarly. Like, I wasn't weightlifting, I wasn't into working out or anything. I was just playing sports. And
Yeah.
it wasn't until uh, I guess college for me. So I obviously got started earlier than you did, but I got started working out in college and became a personal trainer and kind of went down that route. But like I feel similarities in that regard. But
Yeah.
you're
It
100% right
always,
in.
it always worked out well. I could, like, not for nothing, but in middle school, high school, I could always shoot the ball really well and handle the ball really well. So I never really was like, oh, I need to be in the gym, like training legs so I can, dunk. I was like, luckily I had skills that I worked on that translated well. So it never was like a forethought to be like, oh, I need to probably put on, I weigh 140 pounds. I should probably put some weight on. So
Mhm. Yep, for sure. And when you said that you were never really like very overweight, like that's something that I think is also kind of interesting, because talking now 14 or 15 weeks in or so, you've lost about 20 pounds. And not only that, like, the physical change that you've seen in your body has been one of the better transformations that I've seen in such a short period of time. Because, like I've told you, like, a lot of the guys that I work with have been with me for a while. They've been with me for 1, 2, 3 years or more. And, the more time you give it, the better and better you're going to look. But you, in just a couple months, really have already seen some definition in your core, have already seen like noticeable physical change. And you've lost 20 pounds when, like, you may not even have thought that you had 20 pounds to lose, right? So, like,
yeah,
when you got started 15 weeks ago or whatever it was, where were you at that point, like, with your fitness, and what made you want to kind of get started?
so it's funny because I had gone through probably, like, I would say the last year and a half, 2 years. It was, and this is why I call it like an in and out thing. It was like a month to month trial run of like, all right, so I'm going to pick the basketball back up and put 500 shots up a day and do that whole thing. And, like, train like I'm training for, like, the NBA combine or something. I would do that for, like, a month or two at a time. And then I was like, all right, I'm going to start running. Like, I think this running thing is going to be my thing. Like, I want to qualify for, some marathon or something. So I would do that for like 3 months, and I'd be running like 50 miles a week, and I'd be like locked in. And then it would just like kind of tether off and it wouldn't stick. And, I tried that with a couple other things. I like kickboxing and like boxing classes, and I just couldn't get into a rhythm with anything that was like yielding me something I wanted to see. And I remember telling you initially, like, I don't have an interest in looking like a bodybuilder. Like, I'm not trying to be, big. Like, I mean, my whole reason, other than the health aspect of it and motivation for wanting to get in shape, is like, I'm big into clothes and I'm big into like that world of things. And like, I just want to look better in outfits. And like, there's certain things I'll see and I'm like, man, if I was like 20 pounds lighter, I could pull that off. So that's like a huge motivating factor for me. And I mean, yeah, I'm getting married in like a month now, which is crazy in and of itself. And just wanting to like look better and like look my best on that day was a huge motivating factor. And then spending 14 days in Jamaica, I'm hoping to not have a shirt on most of the time. And, all of these other things that I feel like kind of fell into place at the right time, which were like a catalyst for me to get back into it. And now, almost 15 weeks later, I'm like in love with, all of the goals that I have currently that were completely different, whether it's, trying to get better on like my lifts or trying to be able to keep losing body fat without having to dip my calories too much, or just stuff like that. And like I said, the small wins, so to speak. But so that's where I'm at now with everything. And I feel better than I ever have. And I'm looking better than I have since I was 17 years old. And, 100% thanks to your programming and diligence with what you do.
Thank you, man. I'll take it. But again, like I can draw up the best workout program, the best nutrition plan, and it's up to you guys to actually go ahead and put it into practice, right? And I would like to think that I do a pretty good job of qualifying people and really getting to know them to some degree before taking them on board, because I want to make sure that like they're actually going to make the most of it, right? And actually be the type of person that's going to put it into practice, because it does nobody any good if I bring on anyone and everyone and I put in work with the program and then I give it to the client and they just end up not doing it, right? That doesn't benefit me, that doesn't benefit them, no one. So I think you've done such an amazing job of just like going out every week and putting it into practice, like tracking your macros, doing your workouts. Like even you said, like when you're traveling, you were ordering Instacart, right, which is groceries to
I
your
groceries
hotel.
delivered. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Both
that you
times I packed the scale, a food scale, like, yeah. And I mean, you make it very easy to complete the objectives. So it's all laid out for you, really. It's just, you have to put the same amount, if not more effort in.
yeah. And one thing you said about like having something to aim for, right? With your fitness. Like, I think that's always a great motivating factor. And like, because we're not all going to have just natural motivation to work out 5 times a week or 4 times a week. And like looking for things to be that motivating factor, like there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. And for you, obviously right now, it's like, it's been the wedding, right? You want to look your best for the wedding. And then like shortly after that, the honeymoon, right? So you want to look your best for that, like you said, being on the beach and stuff. And then like the next challenge for you will come like after that, right? It's like, all right, we know you're going to look the best that you've looked in a while for that, but it's like, all right, can we keep that motivation or can we shift it to some other thing that you can aim for or look forward to? And like that might be something like, I don't know, maybe you book like a photo shoot like 3 months out, or something that ahead that you want to look your best for. And like that's something that I always recommend to my clients, is like having those things to aim for, because it really does make a massive difference in your ability to follow through.
Oh,
But
totally.
yep.
Yeah.
And as
Yeah.
far as like the way the program has been laid out for you, like are there any particular pieces of it that like you found the most helpful, or that you got the most benefit from?
Yeah, for sure. I'll preface all this by saying there's an infinite number of people who try to do what you're doing. The world of fitness and programming and all of that, I don't even want to lump it all into one thing, but I am for this. And it's very saturated, and there's a lot of people out there that are doing it and not doing it the right way, which was like all of my hesitation to money, because that's not really like what it's about in terms of that. But like, if I'm going to put my time and my effort and like my trust in somebody, the value that I'm getting back has to be what I'm expecting it to be. And all that to say, like right off the jump, like working with you and connecting with you, I could tell that you care more than just making money. One, you said it yourself, you don't have thousands of people in this that you're making 2 or 3 programs for and sending them out to 500 different people at the same time. You do a really good job of not only making this stuff personal for each person and for me in particular, but like also following through on that with everything else that you're doing. You give me feedback that is valuable to me, not just like, oh, pictures look great, thumbs up. It's like, I asked you, a couple weeks ago about implementing cardio, and you gave me like, an explanation as to why. You weren't just like, no, this isn't the time. It was like, oh, okay, this makes sense, and this is why. And there's a lot of info out there on this stuff. And for me, I'm a results-based person. So I look at, obviously you have a great physique, you work out, you've been doing this, you were a personal trainer, you checked all of those boxes for me. And on top of that, everything, like I said, I just think the best thing about the program is the accessibility, while at the same time like having a really good, it's mapped out, and it makes it easier to foresee goals and possibilities because of that.
Yep, definitely. And I'm glad you've, gotten value from it. And, it's pretty easy and straightforward when, you are following through and pretty much, implementing the program to a T each week, right? We have our weekly check-in and we
I'm neurotic, you can say it.
yeah, I mean, like we have our weekly check-in and you will touch base with me throughout the week if needed, or I'll touch base with you sometimes if needed, but it's always easier and it's always more streamlined, like when you're just doing it, right?
Yeah.
Obviously there's going to be times throughout your life where maybe there's other obstacles that you're not facing right now or whatever the case is, and maybe it will be a little bit more challenging, but for now, like when you're in a groove, like it's really important to kind of keep that momentum going, right? So like build that momentum into 20 weeks, into 25 weeks, 30 weeks, and the easier
I think
it
I
will get.
also, to that point, I don't look at it as like I don't want to use the word diet or like whatever that's in that same breath. Like I don't want to use that as like what it is. Like it's not that. It's something that like I intend on continuing to do because it's bettering my life. It's not like, okay, I lost 20 pounds and like, well, that was that. Like there's you know what I mean? Like it's things that make you feel good and things that are beneficial for you. As I'm getting older, I'm trying to put less and less of like a time stamp on, like just keep doing it. Why not?
Yeah, exactly. And on the nutrition side, like that's a big part of my goal, is to like help you realize that tracking your food is something that is going to make your life a lot easier and more predictable and more flexible, as opposed to like a lot of people have the misconception that just because you're tracking your food that like you're eating very restrictively. Whereas like if I give you targets with your macros or your calories, and we know you're going to see progress as long as you come close to those numbers, really you can include anything you want in those macros, right? And you were saying the other week how you kind of had some cravings and you allowed yourself to like have some ice cream or something like that. And like as funny as that sounds, as a coach, like I love hearing that, because it shows me that you're learning how to eat more flexibly, and you're learning how to include things into your diet that aren't necessarily seen as super healthy. Because I know you're not eating that every day, but you know how to include it and still see results when you want to.
Oh, 100%. And I might be, I don't know all of your clients inside and out, but I might be one of the odd ones who I have very little cravings. And on top of that, I literally could eat the same thing for breakfast, lunch, and dinner every single day for 10 years and it wouldn't bother me. My biggest downfall personally is I would rather have a birthday cake than actual food. So that's like my hardest thing is I have a big sweet tooth. I love pies. I love cookies, pudding, like everything.
I'm
And
the
would
same way.
rather, yeah. And like would rather eat that over food. So the hardest thing for me initially, and I remember telling you this, was I can't eat that much actual food. Like it's hard for me to, especially protein. Like I would say the first couple weeks, I was like, I don't know how I'm going to get 190 grams of protein in a day. That's like an asinine amount of protein to me. I was like, this is gnarly. And I remember like the third or fourth week being like, okay, well, this like satiates me. And like, I don't have any sort of instances where it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon and I'm not home yet to eat dinner, but I'm, at work with a bunch of Snickers bars and stuff there. And like, I wasn't finding myself craving that as much because I wasn't like hungry. And I'm a very like, I'll eat when I'm bored.
Mhm.
Like if I'm watching something or like, I'll have a snack. I was a huge snacker. I would like come home from work, we'd have dinner and I would lay on the couch at night or sit on the couch on my computer watching the game and I would just snack.
Mhm.
Not like eat entire boxes or cartons of ice cream and stuff, but I would like always have, Airheads or like Sour Patch Kids or something like that. And cutting that out wasn't a like ripping a band-aid off of a wound as bad, because usually I'll cap off my night with like a protein shake or something like that, and I'm full, like I'm good. I don't have any interest in like getting back up to grab a snack, which I thought would be like the biggest struggle in the world.
Mhm. Yeah, man, I'm totally with you on that. And, I have a massive sweet tooth myself. And, when people come on board and they say that they've got a sweet tooth as well, I feel like it kind of makes them feel all right that I'm also in the same boat, because like I feel like I mean, way more so now, but like for the last going back 5 years and for the complete rest of my life, I had no control when it comes to like baked goods, ice cream. I would eat ice cream every single day, like up until like 5 years ago. So the fact that I don't have like diabetes is remarkable at this point. But last night Morgan made a pretty big apple pie, just because
Oh
she
wow.
likes to bake, and it's just the two of us here. And I'm like, who's gonna like? I'm gonna be the one eating this entire apple pie.
The
So
whole
I
thing.
fit some into my macros yesterday. It's like 61 grams of carbs, 17 fat. Had some
Well,
ice
I
cream
love
on it.
it's
Um,
so funny. Like that it's funny how like you shift to that. And Hannah, my fiance, is like in really good shape and has been, back really in the swing of things for like the last year and a half, 2 years now. She lost like around 40 pounds and just is like absolutely crushing it. And it's funny because she just like messaged me today and was like, oh, somebody came into her work and bought like these awesome homemade cookies from this like amazing bakery. And it's just funny because she'll text me in the middle of the afternoon, like, can you fit this in tonight? Can I bring this home? And I'm like, yeah, I got plenty. You gave me plenty of time to plan it out. I'll get it in there. Like, so yeah, I mean, you definitely, and especially like the way you put everything out there to us. Um, I don't feel there's no guilt. I don't feel like I'm doing something wrong. Honestly, like I've caught myself just being like, all right, well, I don't want to eat this and burn this many calories, or like I don't feel the best when I would eat like that. So now I'm like more so making conscious choices based off of like actual health and like the way I'm going to feel versus like, oh, well, Jesse said I can't do that. You know what I mean?
right.
So it's like, I think the foundation that you've set has allowed me to open my mind up differently to a relationship with food.
Hmm. Yeah, man. And that's like the golden ticket, right? It's like, when you realize that like you truly are in full control of building your own physique, like, and you can eat ice cream or you can have like you can literally have anything you want and still see improvements in your body. That's like an enlightening moment almost in your journey, because you're like,
Oh,
holy crap, this is like, I can literally do whatever I want as long as I'm within these macros, or as long as I'm, diligent about my strategy. And like, then it becomes, like you said, it's like, I know I can have this ice cream whenever I want it, but I'm actually going to choose not to because I feel better when I don't have it 4 times a week,
sure.
right? I'm going to save it for
Yeah.
once just because I'm choosing to do it, even though I could easily have it 4 times a week and still see results. I
Yeah.
feel totally the same as what you just described there. And what you were saying with Hannah, like, I feel like, you know, getting in shape and being on a program with a significant other as well could be a whole separate podcast. Maybe we'll actually do that. But like, I find it so
Yeah.
funny because Morgan, similarly, like she's not tracking macros right now, and like she's worked with coaches in the past, but um, she went from like several years ago, like making fun of me and like always giving me shit for weighing my stuff out on a food scale and like
Yeah.
not really caring about it, to now if she's making dinner, she leaves the wrappers out for me so I can,
Same.
scan it. She'll like weigh out the food for me, and it's like she's helping me on my journey,
Yeah.
and supporting it. And it's like your significant other may not always be like that at the beginning, and they may actually be resistant to it at the beginning, but if that's part of who you are and that's a value and a priority that you have, and they care about you, they will come around and support you on that as well.
Oh, 100%. And it's kind of ironic because our roles were reversed. Like Hannah had been doing this and like locked in for like a year and a half before I had even like reached out to you. And every week I was like, oh, babe, next week, like I'm going to get on board and like I'll be doing the same thing with you. And it was, dude, it was like the phrase next week came out of my mouth every night. And I was like sitting back watching her, tracking her food, working out all the time when she had to and seeing these incredible results. And I was like, all right, I gotta because I always was the type of person that when I would exercise, I could grueling. I have this like 25 pounds that I can't get off, where I'm battling it constantly. I was able to drop weight pretty quick. So I would always like in my head, put it off. I'd be like, oh, like I'll be able to drop 10 pounds in like 6 weeks. I'm fine. Like, no worries. And I think seeing her have so much sustainable success, I was like, all right, this is like, I need to get on it. But it was just funny because like the roles were reversed for like so long. And I would be like busting her chops about it. And then now here I am like, yeah, like save the wrapper for me.
Nice, man. Yeah, it's funny how it works like that. And, it's interesting. I'll say this, I'll ask you one more question and then we'll kind of wrap it up. But it's interesting that like you're saying, oh, I can lose 10 pounds in 6 weeks or whatever, but now you're realizing it's more about like the long-term game. And I don't know if you recall, but like earlier on with clients, like the first 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks, even if someone's losing weight, even if someone's seeing really great results, I'll often like downplay it. Like I won't be like, wow, you've done an amazing job, 10 pounds in 3 weeks, whatever it is. Like, even if it is an amazing job, because I kind of want to give them the impression like, this is great. Like you're losing weight in the first few weeks, which I'm sure you've done before. But what it's really about is like, okay, you're still got that weight off 6 months from now, right? Or you're down even more weight 6 months from now. And like, that's the important thing. And like, to not be impressed by just a couple weeks of weight loss, but to actually show up and consistently, move forward and take steps forward, like month after month after month is really what it's about. And so I feel like that's an important point to make as well. So as we wrap it up here, so like what's next for you going into 2022? We got 2 months left here in 2021. Any specific goals or anything that you want to specifically work on with your own fitness heading into the new year?
Yeah, totally. I obviously want to keep this ball rolling and continue to get better each and every time I'm, in the gym or with my nutrition, whatever. But I really want to, like I said, last year during my touring season of work, I really let myself go. So my goal now is to have a successful year of being on the road every weekend and maintain whatever my physique is looking like going into it, excuse me, or hopefully improve on it during the season. Basically not allow that to be a roadblock or a stopgap for what's going on. It's like a huge goal of mine because aside from most of my office busting my chops and telling me it's not going to be possible, I know that I can accomplish it, and I want to see that through and treat my body as well as I can while I'm out here all over the country. So
that's awesome, man. And it kind of reminds me like the busy season for you with work. It kind of reminds me of like the holiday season for like normal people in the calendar, right? Because like for the most part, every year when the holidays roll around, people gain some weight. Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year, stuff like that. And it's almost like a cycle that's really difficult and very predictable, right? Like I've been in the fitness industry for like 9 years now. It's very predictable. People fall off track during the summertime. They fall off track during the holidays. They do really well January to March or April. And, there's these times in the year, in the calendar year, where it's very, very predictable for the vast majority of people. And for you, I think that work schedule like very much plays into it as well, and could be a huge win for you. Like like you said, if you were to maintain your current fitness level or your body fat percentage, or even see some marginal progress during like a very, very difficult time where you're traveling every weekend, like in many cases, that's a win. Even if you don't lose additional weight, if you just like don't move backwards during some of those trips or during some of those times, I feel like that should be recognized as like
Yeah.
a successful trip or a successful period of time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. And I think that I've been able to gain like a ton of motivation, even from the small parts of this. So I know that once I do it one weekend and do it 2 weekends, that ball will be rolling, and the thought of it like unraveling is just like, I don't even want to go there. So no, yeah, no, I'm excited for it. I like things that are challenging, and I knew getting involved in this, or entering into this program would be challenging, because I'm a very visual results person, and I anyone else that listens to this, or any of the other people that might use this for some sort of motivation or advice for themselves, if you are a visual person, and meaning like if you lift up your shirt 6 weeks into it and you don't have abs, like you're gonna throw in the towel, because that was a lot of how I was like previously with fitness. I was like, well, it's been 4 weeks, but I don't have a six pack. And like, I mean, that's just, we could talk science if you needed to, but so I think that trying to make sure that you understand that like things take some time, and the foundation of this is like imperative to build it up to whatever your goals are. And I think another portion of your program that I love is the ability to look back at those first pictures from weeks 1, 2, and 3, and look at where I am now, because I look at myself every day. So noticing, marginal changes might not be as prevalent in my head. But when I step back and I look at that, and even for myself, not somebody else saying it, I'm like, okay, like, this is doing something. I am working towards something.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, I mean, we only get one of these, how I'm looking at it. I get one body, and the way that I take care of it and treat it is kind of everything. So if I don't look bigger next week, my back doesn't look more defined, at least I'm healthier. At least my body's improving in some aspect.
Yep. Absolutely. That was well said. And, that's why we take progress photos, right? Like, not every win is going to be shown on the scale. And I believe it was your first 3 weeks, like you didn't lose any weight on the scale. And I noticed changes in your physique, like in your progress photos, like you were definitely losing body fat, which probably means that you maybe gained a pound or two of muscle as well in those first few weeks. So like if you lost 1 or 2 pounds of body fat and you gained 1 or 2 pounds of muscle in that first month, say, it wouldn't show on the scale. And you'd think, oh man, this sucks, I'm doing terrible. When in reality, losing 1 or 2 pounds of fat and gaining 1 or 2 pounds of muscle coming from both sides at it is actually way better for your physique than, say, just losing 3 or 4 pounds of fat and staying the same with muscle, right? So I think that, that's been an important part of it. And, you're completely right in that, like, physical change does take time, right? I try to be upfront with you guys about, expectations and what to expect in regards to change and weight loss, in your first 12 weeks and then in your next 6 months or whatever it is. And, I'm confident pretty much everyone's going to see progress to some degree and see improvements in their body and their health. But oftentimes, it's not until 1, 2, 3, 4 years of actually being consistent that we look in the mirror and we're like, wow, like that's the physique that I actually was imagining in my head. You know what I mean? Like anything else, it takes longer sometimes to build that physique that we're imagining in our head. And myself too, like I'm still not at the physique that I want, right? After 10 years of working out. But that's the point, is that the more time you have working out like this, eating strategically like this, the better you're going to look. And it doesn't matter how old you are, right? It really doesn't, right? If you're when you get to 35, realistically, you should be in better shape than you are today. And even when you get to 40, like I've got guys who started with me in their mid 30s and now they're 40 or now they're, whatever. And they're in way better shape now because they've got more time under their belt. So, just keep up the great work. You've been crushing it. You've been, just so amazing to work with and making my job easy because you just do everything exactly as I've recommended you to do it. Do you have any final things that you want to say or things that you want to go over? Anything else?
No, just want to, extend a huge thank you to you. It's been really, really cool getting the chance to be a part of the program. And even aside from all of the amazing fitness portion of things that you give to us, just the community that you've kind of built around this is something that in and of itself is worth it to be a part of. You have an amazing group of guys who every day are getting after it and doing something incredible. And it's motivating, whether I have the time to reply all the time in Facebook or not, whether I'm on my way to the gym or whatever. So that's a huge bonus that somebody would, be able to take part of being in your program. And I heard this the other day and it's really kind of stuck with me, and it kind of alludes a little bit to what I was just saying, but comparison is the thief of joy. Has kind of been my theme with this for like the past couple weeks. And I was always constantly comparing my body to everybody else I was around, or if I was in a room with somebody, I would always be like, oh, am I like the skinnier end of things here, whatever it was. And it, like, looking back, restricted me from wanting to do things and like be a part of things. And I don't know if it's a combination of just like getting older or feeling better about myself or whatever, but I just I would hate to see people constantly put themselves in that position, because I was there and it isn't fun. So enjoy the process of this, whatever yours is or looks like. And just make sure, you get whatever's laid out for you, just check the boxes and do it. And you'll, we'll all look like as great as we can.
Absolutely. Yeah, I love that. And kind of like the don't compare your chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 10 type of thing, right? It's like with social media, it makes it so easy to do that, right? To say, I want to look like that guy on Instagram, but it's like, all right, well, that guy's been training and tracking his macros for 15 years. I've been doing it for a year. It's like, it's not a fair comparison. Yeah. He's also on like TRT or like these steroids or something. And it's just not fair. So
we're fabulous genetics that, like, some of us have, some of us don't. Like, I can't help where my calves are inserted on my leg. Like, I don't know.
Exactly. And, just focus on you and have that tunnel vision and focus on improving from your last photo and your last, workout. So awesome stuff, man. Thank you so much for joining me. It was a great chat. And thank you to those who are listening. All right. We'll see you next time.
Got it.